This is a topic I always come back to and I keep coming back to because there's always a lot more that I can just add to it over and over again. But the topic is procrastination. There are many reasons why I keep coming back to this topic and why I keep trying to redo this topic and keep talking about it overall because there are a lot of things that go into it, such as why it isn't good for you, how it holds you back, and how it's mixed with burnout, and how it makes you have lazy habits and how it builds on those lazy habits that you have if you don't improve on them or if you don't try to break them. But overall, it just isn't going to help you. Like, there's just no way, especially if you have a goal that you want to achieve or you're dreaming about something that you want or anything like that. You're not going to be able to achieve whatever you want to do or get whatever you want to get done if you're going to procrastinate and you keep off putting your work and you keep letting your work stockpile over time. It's just not going to work, especially with time, especially with how time is now. Like, time is moving a lot faster than most people would like it to. I mean, some people don't mind it depending on the situation. Like, if it's school, of course, people want the time to go fast. Like, no one wants to be in school really, especially now. But, like, there are times where I'm just sitting here, I'm having fun, and then, bro, the time just goes by fast. And especially in high school, the time goes fast. I used to think that people who are like upperclassmen or people who graduated, when they said that high school goes by fast, so enjoy it, I used to think that they were lying or capping, but nah, it's for real. Time in general is moving faster than you would expect. Um, but that's all the more reason why not to procrastinate. Because if you procrastinate, especially in today's world, you're gonna fall behind real quick, and it's gonna be really really hard to catch up to be able to be where everybody else is at or be where you want to be in your life specifically and personally. It holds you back from things that you want to do. For example, like if you have like a work or if you have a job and you have a lot of work to do, like say for example, you need to oversee a couple of things like some papers or anything like that. You need to look over some papers and you procrastinate and you just leave that and you just off put all of that work. There's just no way that you're going to be able to have enough time to do what you want to do once it comes time to get to that work that you need to do, because eventually you're gonna procrastinate until it's last minute. Say you have that work done or work due by like Friday and it's Monday, and you wait till Thursday night to start overseeing, and you're gonna have a whole bunch of work, and it's gonna just create a lot of stress. It creates unneeded stress, and it's not ideal as well. And the same thing goes with sports. If you procrastinate when trying to do work or study or your sport or anything like that, and you just procrastinate and you wait and you're lazy, it's just not going to work. You're going to fall behind, especially if you have people, especially in high school and in college, even the pros. If you procrastinate and you're not putting in the work or anything like that, and you just wait because you think, oh yeah, I'm fine, nothing's going to happen, no one's going to take my spot. There's always somebody right behind you trying to get that spot or trying to have that opportunity that you have. You never know what could happen. So by you procrastinating and you're not working, you're just asking for you to get your spot taken, or you're just asking to sit the bench, or you're just asking to get less minutes, or anything like that, vice versa. That's kind of like how it kind of like holds you back. And it also, there's a positive to this as well, not necessarily with procrastination, but rather being proactive. When you're proactive, pretty much the opposite of procrastination, essentially. When you're proactive and you get your work done, maybe even earlier than the due date or just ahead of time in general, or you get it done whenever you have to get it done, then you have a lot more free time to do whatever you want to do. And it creates a lot less stress. As soon as you're done that work, it's just gone. You don't have to deal with it. You don't got to see it for the most part. You have a whole bunch of time in your hands. You have more time in your hands, and there's a lot less stress that you'll have because it's not going to be in the back of your mind like, oh, I have this work I have to do, but I'm just not going to do it because I'm going to procrastinate. Nah, you're not going to have that. You're not going to be thinking about that. It's less mentally draining, and it's just out of the way. But if you are to procrastinate and you do this a lot, especially in today's age, it's a lot easier to just do it. And it's a big habit. It's a big problem as well. It's a big problem and big habit simply due to engineering and because of how engineers are making life a lot easier for everybody. That's kind of what engineering is meant to do. Engineering is meant to make human activity easier to do or make labor easier to do or get the objective done faster. So by that happening, it makes people lazy and procrastinate sometimes because if you know something is easy initially, you're not going to want to do it at that moment in time. You're going to wait, you're going to procrastinate and put it off for a later time. However, that work that was supposed to be easy at that moment in time initially is going to become harder due to the sheer amount of work that will just stockpile up over and over and over again over time. But it kind of builds that lazy mentality and bad habits when you do procrastinate, because when you procrastinate it's essentially you just being lazy and not proactive, because you don't want to do it right then and there. You don't want to do any work or exert any energy right then and there. So it will build those lazy habits over time, and it's much harder to break a habit than it is to build a habit, simply because of how your brain is wired. Because if you have a habit built already and you're continuously doing that over and over and over again with repetition, your brain is going to know that as if it's natural. So to break that habit and to break that cycle and to break what your brain thinks is natural, it's going to be 10 times harder to do than it is to just build a habit. Building habits are hard as well, but in my opinion and based on the research I've done, breaking a habit is a lot harder to do. And it's something a lot of people have a hard time doing as well. The majority of people have a hard time breaking a habit versus building a new habit, simply because of the continuous repetition that happens over and over time, which is a habit. Another thing with procrastination is it kind of, especially now, like I said before when I mentioned the engineering and how human life is becoming easier, all of that. If you are to procrastinate now, it kind of blends you in. Like you kind of blend in with everybody else in the general population. And what I mean by that is because everybody has technology accessible to them. So they can do whatever they want. They could just sit there and be lazy. And I know this a lot. Like even in some of the higher level schools, like the school I go to is I think the best. I think it was ranked the best school in the county or something like that. I don't know, but it was one of the top schools in the county. But I know a whole bunch of people who just leave the work until last minute. I ain't gonna lie, I do the same thing, but I'm gonna get to myself in a little bit. But I know a whole bunch of people who do that, and just by simply getting ahead, they would have a whole bunch more free time, but they're always constantly stressing, like I said before. They're always constantly stressing because they leave the work for a later time, which is something I did as well. If you are to be the sore thumb that sticks out and you are proactive instead, you'll notice yourself having a lot more time to do stuff. And a lot of people, especially now with how everything is, like you can go on, you'll go on social media and you're bound to see something about self-improvement, and it's bound to inspire somebody or get them to think a little bit. You know what I mean? So having that free time could potentially help you to self-improve, or even if that's not the case, you might want to improve on yourself in general, because the majority of people want to improve on themselves in any way, shape, or form, whether it's major or minor, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously, anything like that. So by you being proactive and not procrastinating, like the majority of people, especially teenagers, you will be able to get ahead in whatever you need to do, especially if it's something that you're trying to become good at, whether it's like a specific kind of job, a specific trade, a specific sport. You'll be able to get ahead if you have more time instead of procrastinating, and you get your work done in a proactive manner. This is also another thing I realized too. Procrastination often gets mixed up with burnout. And what I mean by that is when a person is emotionally stressed or just stressed overall due to having a lot of work on their plate. And there are different kinds of burnout as well, where you may feel like you're underappreciated, um, stuff when you feel helpless, or just in general. The main one that I'm going to be talking about is when you're overworked or when you have a lot of work to do. And the main problem that I see, and the main reason why they're kind of mixed up, procrastination and burnout, is because they're very similar in the sense of like you become drained. It's like essentially you seem as though you're drained. Whereas with procrastination, you seem like you're drained due to the fact that you're being lazy and you're not doing any work, or you're leaving everything till last minute because of how long you've put the work off for a later time. Whereas with burnout, you're drained because you've already done the work, or you get a lot of work, or you have a large workload and you're trying to go through that over and over and over again, and for a long period of time as well. And without taking any rest, that will create a burnout, and you'll become burnt out overall. That's why I kind of say they're kind of similar and how they are mistaken for one another. However, there are differences because burnout, you'll be able to tell somebody's burnout because if they show you the work or if they tell you the work that they've been doing, or if that person is just naturally somebody who does a lot of work and you can kind of tell, you'll be able to tell that it's not because of procrastination, it's because they might be doing too much. And too much of anything isn't good. So you'll be able to kind of see that a little bit. Whereas with procrastination, you'll be able to tell, especially in teens, you'll be able to tell by how they act and what they do if they're actually procrastinating or if it's because of burnout. And on the procrastination side of things, you'll be able to tell if that person's lazy, if they don't really do anything, or if they submit a whole bunch of stuff late, or they get their work done late or close to the due date or anything like this. Or if they just fall behind, if they don't work hard, you'll be able to tell in the long run. Because sometimes it doesn't happen immediately. Sometimes you're not able to tell at that exact moment in time. However, over time, you'll be able to tell once there's a gap between two people or a gap of where they should be versus where they are currently. Now, for myself, there's a lot of things I'm trying to do with procrastination because there are some things that I could definitely improve on with procrastination, such as just getting things done earlier and following my schedule. Because sometimes I'll make a schedule and I just don't follow it just due to sheer procrastination. And there are some days where I follow the schedule, and if anything, I'm more proactive on the schedule. So then I end up having a whole bunch of free time, and I have more free time on my hands than I know what to do with. So, but something I always try to think about is this with procrastination is that when I don't procrastinate and I get what I need to get done in my day or in my week, I tend to sleep better. And for some people might say this sounds a little weird, but to me it makes sense because you need to exert energy so that by the time you get to bed, you're not gonna have a whole bunch of energy. You're just gonna be sitting there till you're gonna be sitting there going to bed at like 10 or 11, and then you're gonna be sitting in your bed till like 1, 2, or 3 a.m. Like you don't want to waste all that time just sitting there. You want to actually get sleep. So I try to exert my energy by doing what I need to get done, such as like workouts, cleaning, chores, following up with people, emails, all that kind of stuff. Everything I need to get done, or maybe even doing assignments, Arabic lessons, studying, like all that. There's a whole bunch of things I could do that I can fill out my day with. And I need to be able to exert that energy, especially a lot of mental energy too. Because if I'm doing something physical, I'll sleep fine at the end of the night. But the thing is, a lot of it needs to be mental as well. If you're not doing anything mentally, and you're just sitting there, you know what I mean? Like it's not gonna really do anything. But I think there needs to be a good combination of physical and mental exercise in every single day and per day. So for me, I kind of think of that so that I'm able to sleep well, because I've noticed that when I procrastinate in a day, I don't sleep good. The sleep quality is bad, and I don't sleep for long, and then I end up being tired throughout the day. So when I go to do a whole bunch of work and stuff like that, and I do whatever I have to do on my schedule, and then some, I sleep well. I have a high sleep quality. I get good sleep. All of that. It just helps me with sleeping overall, and having energy for the next day, so I'm able to be productive in what I do, and also just reduces stress overall because I don't have to think about any assignments, for example. I don't have to think about anything like that. But I'm gonna try to improve on that for this school year as well, because last school year I would have like basketball practice, games, anything like that, and especially during Ramadan too, I would like leave everything till like later after practice, and practice will end at 8 for like AAU during Ramadan. So it just wasn't ideal because I'm gonna be hungry, thirsty, and then on top of that, I'm gonna have to think about the work I have to do later. Like, nah, it's just not ideal overall. Like, I might as well try to get that done in school and during class. Like, there's a whole bunch of time for it as well, so might as well. And for this year, because I know for a fact I'm going to be busy, because apparently junior year is the hardest year in high school. So I'm going to try to get all my work done during class if possible, or just before my practices or anything like that. Like, I'll do whatever I need to do to get my stuff done, so I have the least amount of work to do, if not any work, when I get back home. So I don't have to stress about it, because the last thing you would want to do is Stress about having homework or assignments or a project due when you get home after a game or practice.